But I'm going to go ahead and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of clear my throat.
Mm-hmm. He's just he's looking at you intently to see what your reaction is.
I'm going to just whisper to him, we have evidence that you killed a young man.
Do
Bashed him over the head.
mm. Do you now?
We're here to bring you to justice.
Mm. He goes, that's unfortunate. He goes, I was looking forward to a good conversation. He
And
says,
what's he going to do at this point?
he just looks over at you for the moment. He has his one hand on his ale and one hand below, like at his side, almost like maybe covering a weapon of some sort in case something goes down. He goes, well, he goes, I don't know what you think you know. He says, but there are forces here that are much bigger than all of you. He says, right now in the town, you guys have got a real good standing where you are. But were something to happen to me, I don't know. That standing may not hold as well. We'll have to see how the council decides, especially when they have to replace the position of the poor deceased Anders. He was well liked by the fisher folk of this town. Very well liked. He says, take...
So then, would you be willing to turn yourself into the council?
He says, now that is an interesting proposition. He says, you would have to be able to show your proof, otherwise it is your word against mine. What proof do you have other than a dead man spoke to you? And who was there with your folks when he spoke to you?
Oh, about 7 of us were there at the time, including my friends who are also here in this building. And as to whether it's sufficient evidence, that's something that the council will have to decide.
Alright, so now make your check, because again, 3 of them were present. That's a pretty good deception to see if he'll play in it.
Okay.
He's going to try to see. Go ahead.
How long has he been dead? Less than 10 days.
Less than 10 days, correct.
Would that be less than 10 days
Yes, it would. It would. So, do a perception to see how well, because again, Yuki is whispering to make sure she doesn't, or they don't, excuse me, I'm sorry with she, they didn't put it across the room. They don't want everyone in this bar, I'm guessing, to hear in case, yeah, no. At that point, you hear the crackling of the fire, some low conversations, but not what they said to Gregor. Gregor says, I don't know about that. He goes, you're holding something off, maybe. He goes, I'm adept at this type of business. I don't think you're as adept, though you are pretty savvy with your lead-in.
I am going to tell him, oh, good sir, if you do go before the council and are found guilty, I will personally plead for them to not use execution on you. I will plead for your life because I want you to be able to grow as a person and move beyond this. But justice must be done, and whether or not the council can convict, you know that you snuffed out that young man's life. Does that concern you on some level?
Well, I must say, he goes, I am very impressed with your manners. And he goes, I'm impressed that you're not just sitting here grilling me in a unorthodox way, or a way that maybe I would suspect you would. And your offer, he goes, your offer is very, very interesting. He goes, though, like I said, there are forces here at work that even if you brought me before the council, I doubt I'll see a day in the jail.
What do you mean by these forces?
That tells me you don't know as much of the situation as you think you do.
Maybe I do not. I'm doing my best to be honest with you.
And he goes, it is appreciated. He goes, there are so many who would barge in here and think they can just simply assault me and walk away without any repercussion.
We have no plans of assaulting you.
Well, he goes, if you find proof that can put me there and that can put me doing what you say I did, then maybe I will go in front of the council. Otherwise, he goes, I'll sit here and enjoy a meal and a few ales and get a good night's sleep and go back out and lead up the fishing fleet that now I have been appointed as the head of leading. In Anders' absence, that is. Because, unfortunately, the business would drop off, and we don't want that. The town would suffer.
Well, that right there was independent evidence because it gives you a motive for the murder to get this position. And I will say that the dead person's testimony, you're right, it's hard to prove in court, but I believe that the council will at least hear
He goes, they
the
may.
accusation and take it seriously.
He goes, they may, if you're able to tell them tomorrow. He
Is
says,
that intended to be a threat?
more an observation, he says. You don't know how many exist in the bar and who reports to who. You've all been noted because none of you... Well, okay, Lyric has been here before. We know a little bit about. Because she likes to go try different local cuisine. He says, Balam's been here before, at least initially when he came to town. It's interesting to see him throw in lot with you, but I could see it. Nicodemus has never been here, nor does he belong here, nor is he welcome here, very honestly. He and his kind, the Harpers, are not well thought of in this bar. Oh yes, he hasn't told you that, has he? That he's a Harper agent. Of course he hasn't. He is a man with lots of deceptions. But then again, I like to expose deceptions, says Gregor, flashing a silver tooth as he smiles. You are, go ahead. And he goes, speak. He goes, I'll enjoy my ale while you give me some more options.
Well, if there were time.
Sure, Yumi, you can. What you want to ask in there?
I thought that we had suspicions that Scarin might be up behind this plot, possibly.
Yeah, you thought that he could absolutely be behind it, because again, the plot you definitely know involves Gregor, because Gregor, obviously, from what the body told you, committed the murder. But again, as to who all was involved, Scarin, we believe, is involved. The body didn't know. The body had suspicions from what was interrogated. Now, Scarin has come off to all of you as more of a chief manservant. Good example. You guys have probably seen Black Butler, yes? Scarin...
I have not.
I've seen the first season.
Scarin is like the older butler that, for the most part, acts kind of off to himself, but when the moment gets serious, becomes a whole different looking butler. Like that. And, yeah. Scarin actually is S-K-R-I-N. Scarin. Scarin, now, yes, you addressed him, but he never really spoke. It was Anders. He always stood at the right arm of Anders, and he whispered in Anders' ear, but you never really addressed him. Do a knowledge history to recall how he was in those meetings. Because again, he tried to make himself as innocuous as possible.
Everybody or just me?
You can, since you're the one that kind of pulled that together. Yeah. He really didn't make an impression to you, other than he just seemed to be a learned advisor that helped the young Anders to appear more knowledgeable, maybe better on the council. T, do a knowledge history for me on the discussion on your side quest, because I believe, and you can give yourself an advantage just because it was fresher in your mind. You remember you did the little Crabber's Cove thing and something got mentioned to you there? Oh, okay. That I can do, my friend. All right, let's go get him, and there's Shadow, and we will roll with advantage on that. History, which is not necessarily your best roll, but you're rolling with advantage, so that could go well in your favor. Oh, 3 and a 5. Nope. It just doesn't spark in your memory, because, again, you're sitting there looking at... All of you can see Yuki having a conversation, that they are having a conversation with Gregor. Gregor is cocky. You would really have to, across the darkness of the room where you're sitting, Shadow, roll a really good perception roll. Freya, you have the best look to what he is mouthing to Yuki. And you most likely... Now, Dustu's gotten a little closer. Dustu could make another active perception if you're by the fireplace, even though it's crackly. If you're over towards where Sailor is, you'll have a harder time. You could try to read the lips, but since Common's not your most prominent language... Yeah, you and Freya both. You can read pretty much what he's mouthing to Yuki as answers. He seems arrogant, almost confident to an oozing level, which to you, if somebody's guilty and they really felt bad about it, or they felt like bad for their employer's death, he would be showing a different set of facial features as a human. He's not. You could, but you don't know the reaction you would get, and being a peaceful person, you don't want to invoke him to get up and draw his weapon. You have confidence in Yuki that Yuki could probably handle this. Freya, you don't, yeah. Not unless you want to burn the one nat 20 you got the last time. You can do that. You still have one of those you can burn. Yeah. I mean, you guys can do some rerolls if you got them, if they're there. But just you get the feeling he's holding an upper card that you're not seeing, as they would say in a card game. It's that one card you can't see. To be this confident. I mean, he's not even trying to bolt, run, pull a weapon on you, attack. He's just sitting there watching what you're doing. And to see how much you know. All right. Do you have investigation or insight?
I do have investigation.
Oh, man. Now, Freya, that second time you were looking, you can see back and forth both. You think you can see even what they're saying to Gregor and back. And he is. He is. And by the way, you don't lose the natural 20. And Yuki, yeah. You think you're going to have either some knowledge of who he reports to, or why this was done to get him to be cornered. Go ahead.
I
Okay.
A much stronger drink.
Nice. Nicely done.
I'm going to turn to him and say, good sir, and like, I can see that you're almost done with that ale,
Mm-hmm.
and part of my practice of hospitality is buying drinks for your
Mm.
needs. So, what would you like to drink? I've heard that the whiskey here is really good.
You're right. He goes, we have a spiced whiskey here that is very good. Sure, if you'll pay for it, I'll sit and have a glass with you or two.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
So, I'm going to walk up to the bar, order 2 spiced whiskeys.
Okay, so are you saying anything to Nicodemus or Balaam when you do? They're kind of, Nicodemus is watching out of the corner of his eye. Balaam is just sitting there talking to Nicodemus, watching your direction as well.
So
But
I said specifically that I do that for people that I newly meet,
mm,
and because I already know Nicodemus and Balaam from previous,
mm,
that would explain why I wasn't doing it.
mm. Okay. All right. And, Nicodemus is definitely watching. He nods at you when you come up, but he doesn't say much. It's a slight nod, enough for you to see that, yeah, they've got your back. And so, but they're not making a move as for say on that. Are you, Freya, going to say anything to Silver? Sailor has walked out of the bar, told you, Mike, that he delivered the message, and that he says, and there's this white scaled kobold sitting across from him, talking to him right now, very intensely, especially after the letter. He even passed it to her to read. Did I earn my keep? He says. All right. Well, thank you. Anytime you need anything, let me know. I'll be down at the docks, he says, skipping off with the gold coin. And you can see there's people out here. There's a bunch of people like I have in the areaway.
Don't spend it on blackjack and hookers.
He goes, I'm not old enough to yet. He just laughs and wanders off. He's definitely enjoying the coin. The coin goes into his pocket very quickly. So you do know it's been delivered, and you don't hear the sound of combat, which is good. You can see through the window slightly to see that Dustu is watching from the fireplace area. There is a person sitting with their back to you in the window, but you can barely make out the table where you think Gregor is, because you know where Yuki sat down. All right, and that's good. You can tell her, and then now, Silver, you can re-roll your history again to try to piece things together from what she's telling you. Shadow, you can definitely see the body language of Gregor is relaxing. He was on guard, but he's relaxed again. As you can see the bartender, Krebs, bringing over 2 glasses, which you can pour a snort of whiskey into, and a really nice looking bottle of whiskey that he puts on the table. And Krebs just says, let me know afterwards. He goes, if you use the whole bottle, he goes, I'll look at it and have you pay after the fact. Nods to Gregor and kind of wanders back to the bar and continues serving the other people. You do see some bustle. There is the barmaid who's now making her way around to your table, Shadow, asking if you guys need anything else. And she brings the meal. Any meals any of you have. Lyric's picking at her meal, which is surprisingly not meat. She is eating more vegetarian, which for Tabaxi is kind of an odd thing. And Willow, you're kind of impressed by the fact that she's not eating any animal.
So I rolled a 16.
You seem to remember there were some times that Scarin got scowls on his face and he talked more intently into Anders' ear. when you were talking to the council. That seems to be overstepping a little bit of what a manservant would do, unless they're very familiar. And that person they're talking to trusts them a lot. And his movements weren't like that of an older gentleman. You would think he'd be a little more stiff, a little more jerky in his movements. His movements weren't jerky. They were fluid. Not showing any sign of age. That's something you would expect for a young butler to do. So, infinite diversity in infinite combinations regarding Larry. Yeah. She's just kind of that. Even Shadow kind of notices that you'd think a tabaxi would eat meat right out, and she eats more vegetarian. Kind of interesting. But you can tell Lyric right now from the three of you, the scent she's giving off is like freshly cut grass and lavender. And you can almost see a more tautness to her as, you know, the barmaid's making her way around and doing her thing and talking to the next table. There's a bowstring tautness to Lyric, almost like she is ready to act at any period of time. And she even says among you and Willow, she goes, I do not trust this place. Krebs is shady at the best. He has his own agenda. And this Gregor, I have seen him before. He is cocky, she says. Again, Nicodemus is kind of again looking out of the corner of his eye. Now, Yuki, you are the only... Yes. The movement went from ready to relaxed. Yuki is from your party. Yuki or Haven is having that conversation with him and has put him on the spot. You don't know that, but you're figuring that's probably what's going on and why he tensed. But then he's sitting back as if, big deal. So you think you know something. Prove it type of stance. And the drinks come by. Krebs brings them over, of course, pours you guys a snort. Yeah, Rick, can you roll a perception check to see if I'm able to pick up any clues about the butler guy? He's not here. The butler guy is not here. This is only things... Well, if Silver talks to you and tells you what she's thinking, then yes, you can do a knowledge history. Go ahead, T. All right. You do notice... Do a percept... well, I'll have to roll it for you. Hang on. Let me do the perception check for you, T, since you're driving. Which should be pretty good for you. Yeah, you got a nice +7 on that one. You don't notice a ton because I rolled a 7. It's a 14. But you do notice at the table, the guy with his back to the wall near Silver in the front door at this long table where there's 4 sailors is watching you. Clear as day. Not even making it unobvious that he's watching you to see what you're doing. Now, you don't know if it's because you're a drow or because he's watching you for other reasons. He's just watching you. He nods. I mean, both his hands on one drink, and again, beside him with his back on the wall looks like a harpoon that he fishes with. Easily accessible if you wanted to reach it. All right, so Yuki, what do you want to do? Oh wow, knowledge history. Yeah, you're picking up as you guys are talking. You definitely think that Scarin is more than what he comes off as a head butler. And another nat 20. God, that's 2 for Freya in one night. All right, go ahead, Yuki. That's sorry, Haven. I had missed that part of the conversation.
Okay, so I basically tell you confided and then explain that it was cheers. I insert full language and I toast and sip.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully he does more than sip.
All right, so this stuff is about 60 proof. Yeah. So do me a favor. The sip is not going to make you drunk, but it could make you feel a little lightheaded. You've had your alcohol again, but this is strong alcohol. Even he is going to. I'll have him kind of off table here. Let's see what's his roll on his deal.
I'm going to keep taking sips. Yuki is pretty experienced with this kind of thing, so you're not going to fall off with
He belts about 2 back, and he seems like he's not even hurting. He goes, so where are we going to go with this little conversation? Are we going to sit and have a nice dinner together and talk a little bit?
Yeah, I have no more desire to talk to you about that issue. And I take another shot as I say that.
Okay. So do for me another fortitude save, or con save as they call it on here, another con save. Thankfully, as a fighter, that's a good thing for you, the con save.
Except they're a ranged fighter or my con.
Ooh, alright. So, yeah, you're feeling a little bit warm. Not horrible, just warm and relaxed feeling. You don't feel as tense either. You feel a little bit more brave in your thinking. I can already see Veritas sizing this one up. This is not going to go away other than being a bar brawl. I can already see this one coming. just where Veritas and Mike's moving to, and just the yeah, this is going to go good. Well, he goes, most of us, probably about a good percentage of the fleet is not from here. We're from Baldur's Gate area, so we're pretty experienced fisher folk. And Anders came over here to take over for the family's business out here with the loss of his mother. And so we came with him to help out. We want to make sure the young lad did well out here. Especially, knowing his sister and his father really take a huge interest in the boy. So, yeah, he goes, that's why your accusations kind of take me a little sideways. So, or... Yeah, I did. The kid was a good fisher. Yeah, if he just stuck to the fleet, he would have done really well. But he had divided attentions, and I understand that. It's part of the politic of the town. Good.
What do you mean about, the politics of the town? Since I'm from a small town as well, and the politics there can get quite intense. So,
Of course. He goes,
quite.
like your village elders would be at your village, except Anders took a position his mother held, which was a very strong position, and he wanted to make his way here. He really wanted to show that he could help this village to go to another level. His mom was from here originally. Don't know if you know that. So,
I didn't know that at all.
yeah.
I'm going to take another sip and invite him to take another shot.
All right, let's see how he does on this one. All right, looks like he's doing all right so far. He takes another shot back. Again, a little flush to the face, but you don't see anything you don't see anything indicating he's drunk at all.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make my Constitution save.
All right.
I'm trying to keep up with him.
Ooh, now that's good. Yeah, that one, you're starting to feel you're a little bit buzzed, but you're not out of control of things by any means. Your training and your background and everything else, you're hanging in pretty good, and he's pretty impressed from the looks on his face to see that you're not flying down on your seat or slobbering on yourself. He's pretty impressed.
Of course not.
So all of the rest of you see this. Veritas, what are you doing? You're outside the door, which is not probably the safest place if the door swung open. But are you just standing at the doors? Are you peeking into the doors?
I'm trying to judge the rest of the party, seeing if we're going to go loud, or we're just going to kind of just walk out of here with our tail between our legs, and let the beat us.
Well, so in just peering in, and again, you do get the notice of the guy that's by Dustu, that's near the window. Just a glance over and then glance back to his partner, and they start talking again. You get the feeling that maybe he's not involved, that he just noticed you there. Dustu looks like he's trying to listen in. Yuki looks like they are having a drinking contest and discussion with Gregor. Balaam is smirking a bit as he's talking with Nicodemus. And Nicodemus seems to be turned to looking at the bar, but you get the feeling from his sitting stance he's not doing the looking at the bar. He's listening to Balaam, but yet keeping an eye out otherwise. Shadow, Lyric, and Willow are all kind of watching the situation with Yuki and Gregor. And Silver and Freya are right near you. Freya's the closest. They seem to be quietly conversing back and forth. So he took the position rather than the coin. There's a coinage involved. Pin cushions. Gregor is very confident. Even drinking, he's confident. You have a feeling he can put away quite a bit of alcohol before he starts getting tipsy. And you get the feeling from the way he's drinking, he'll know his point of where he's going to stop doing that. Gregor basically says, had you not come in and talked what you talked, he goes, it'd have been a nice conversation and drinks tonight. But, he goes, at some point I've got to head home and, get prepared for the morning. But, if you and your friends feel the need to try to pull me before the council, well, that's your choice then, So, Freya accidentally tripping. You could try that going out the door. What you can't gauge right now, Shadow, Lyric, Willow, Nicodemus, Balaam, and Silver and Freya cannot gauge how many of these other fishermen are part of that fishing fleet. The way they're spread out, the way they're acting. The only one that seems to maybe be is the one just to the left of Silver. He is watching intently, both one eye at Shadow and one eye over at the other table. So you're guessing that maybe he has something to do with Gregor. Seemed to misfire.
So, can I tell that Sailor is listening at the conversation?
Oh yeah, he's not even trying to look subtle about it. And his hand rests down at his side about a foot, not even a foot, from his harpoon, which is laying against the wall. It's got a sheen of being cleaned most likely used for harpooning bigger fish, or killer whales, because you do know those are around the area and tend to harass the fishermen. So he's got the musculature and the language that tells you he is more than just a fisherman. Just by how he's sitting.
Again, what's the party want to do? Do you want to take him now? Take him into custody now? Or are we going to go and wait till tomorrow and try to track him down again?
I'm trying to get him to say something incriminating, and then hopefully take him now.
Well, tomorrow I can kill a witness to his evidence.
Yeah, so it's all the question of, will he be here tomorrow?
Yeah. I'm gonna to the sailor that's looking like he's about to defend Gregor. I'm gonna put my hand on my knees and just give him this evil look, like I'm watching you, kind of thing.
It's the intimidation factor, which I believe you could do you can do an intimidation if you got it.
Oh my gosh.
Can't hurt, right? I mean, and give yourself advantage because you can re-roll it. Yeah, because you're putting your hand on, you're making it very evident to him what's going to happen if. Oh, there you go. See, now you got it. His hand moves up towards the table. He looks over at you and just kind of looks more intently at what he's doing now versus trying to do something to intimidate anyone around here. You've given him that cold elven death glare that just gave him the shudders. And so he's going back to his business at the table and talking to the other guys at the table. Well, there's one woman at the table, but the other sailors at the table.
Oh my.
All right. Yeah, that was a nice advantage roll on that one. What do you want to do? You could probably, Veritas, whisper a few quick things into Freya if you wanted to. The rest of them are pretty much at a distance, and so you would have to, Freya and Silver would have to give them some sort of a signal to go in and do their stuff. Sailor types over this direction right here at this table where I'm pinging. You got your woman sailor here. You got your guy who had his hand near the harpoon. You got another fisherman, an older gentleman there. You got a what looks to be somebody from the Zarkar region, which is more African looking. And then this guy and this guy here. And then these two right here. Okay. Yep, you can. I know everybody had certain spells they put on themselves before last time, so if you need to know what you cast, go look up in the above a little bit. Yeah, that's shareable. Yep. Plus bark skin, plus I think Willow did the bark skin on herself. Yes, Evie?
Then aid was cast.
And then aid. Yep. So you got quite a few, and then mage armor, that's right. Freya had the mage armor. Willow, I believe, had the bark skin. Ready to bash and flash spells. And Shillelagh, that's right. You have that on your cudgel-like weapon that you can go give them a gentle love tap with. Now, you guys did discuss kind of signaling, so there are signals among you. I know that the party discussed that on the walk. It's up to you. It's getting towards, right about now, it's getting towards almost dinner time. So if you're going to make the move... Now, Veritas, out in the street with you, you see just the different people walking by, and those will be just random people walking by. You do see that there is a patrol beginning to come this direction, right over there, in this far bottom corner. It looks to be a woman sergeant along with 2 other militia. So, if everybody's going to have to do it, they're going to have to go in and close the doors. Because if the stuff spills out into the street, it's going to be a different animal. You'll have to then explain why there's a bar brawl going on. Yeah.
Like the old Western saloon kind of doors?
No, they're normal wooden doors. Though they open pretty easily, but they are latchable from the inside. There are 2 slide bars that go across. Like if somebody was storming the village, you could push them closed to keep this place as kind of a semi-stronghold. Which is unusual because normally it's a metal sliding deal down. Like 2 of them slide down into the wooden slat and one of them slides across. These clearly have solid slide downs and solid slide across. That it literally would take a while for somebody to batter their way through. Plus the windows on the outside do have 2 bars across each of them. Metal bars. Like you were in a rougher end of the dock area. To protect people from stealing and sneaking in. Krebs is pretty thorough. This bar looks like it could be pretty secure if you wanted it to be. Mace slipped. Whack a sailor. Jeez. This would be amazing. We'll have to see.
So I'm still talking to him, and I'm just going to say, like, I'm going to say, seems to know a lot about Anders, and were you guys close? I'm sorry that you're lost.
I knew him.
I'm order my drunk.
I knew him. He goes, he was a good sailor out with us, and I've been on a ship or 2 he's been on, captaining the ships. But, you know, the kid was, I don't know, just kind of very loose cannon at times. He was the one that everybody liked, but he didn't know when to come off the gas. He said that was his biggest drawback. And
It's pretty typical for a young person, I would say.
Yeah.
It takes a while for most people to develop that discipline. I'm sort of an exception, but being trained in the tradition I am goes a long way. But
he could,
I'm happy he wasn't given a chance to grow.
yeah, he could have been a really good influence in this town, but then again, yeah. Sometimes what seems like the good influence isn't that influence, if you know what I'm saying.
What do you mean? Then again, it sounds like maybe you're holding a bit back, like you don't care for him.
All right, so now do your perception versus his deception, because now we're getting interesting. He goes at a disadvantage because
Can I use insight?
you can use insight. You would do it just at a regular roll. I'd normally give you advantage, but because you've been drinking, you lost the advantage there necessarily. Let's see how good he does.
I don't know if that 16's gonna be good enough, but I don't want to spend it.
You both tied.
Okay, I'm going
You get the
to
feeling.
know the chance of that
All right. You get the feeling because you have a bonus in there. I'll give it to you. You got the +3 to the bonus of it. He does not. He is definitely holding something back. There's something that you got him to somewhat slightly slip where before you didn't feel like he was slipping at all. It's confidence.
Okay.
It's like a prove it to me, and that was almost like saying, yeah, I like the kid and I hated killing him, but you know, he wasn't necessarily the right one for the job. And that's the feeling you're getting with the fact because you have the bonus. Had you not, if it was just raw against raw.
Go back to the bar and order us a bottle of gin.
All right.
And
As you
bring
do,
it
he
to the table and pour him a glass of gin. I'm going to pour myself one as well.
Mm-hmm. Before you get back, he raises a glass your and Lyric and Willow's direction and just smirks at the three of you. And it's blatant smirk. Like, good luck. Smirk. Yeah, that's exactly. If you could say a shit-eating grin, that's what he's got across his face. It disappears when you come back, Yuki. You just catch it barely because of your passive perception. He's not good at hiding it, but he definitely flashed a smug look to Shadow. You can tell. The direction of that table was clear.
I'm not going to acknowledge it in any way.
Okay.
I'm just going to say, hey, I got us a bottle of the bar's best gin.
Ah.
Top of the line stuff.
All right.
I'm going to pour him a glass on the rocks, and I'm going to pour myself one as well.
All right.
And
And
then they come pie.
see, he rolls and ooh, roll yours.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
All right.
Any luck, this won't be a natural one. My constitution score is not the best.
Ooh, yeah, you're definitely feeling. You're feeling if you keep going, you will be definitely at disadvantage in combat. You're already kind of skirting there right now. He with the gin, the switch up is beautiful. You only could have done better had you gone to mixing grape, because hops, barley, all that, the clears and the brown alcohols or the ambers go well together. The clears and the grapes don't at all, or the apple cider beers. Yeah,
I thought about wine, but just like the type of
no. Though they do have a cider beer up there that might have done it for him had you gone that direction. Though he does look, the look of I'm just pacing you, no problem, disappears. Almost like he gets a shudder look and he goes, well, I'll be stopping with that one. He goes, and you have affected him. So now your gleaning is probably your best time to see if he'll throw a tail your direction.
I'm going to say, with Anders, rest his soul, you seemed like you had a lot of frustration with him. Like, as a fellow fisher, I also, have dealt with crew members that have been problematic in that way. So, what did he do exactly that got you so upset?
All right, let's see. We're going to roll this at a disadvantage. Where's my disadvantage? Can I do it? Yeah, I'll do it this way and this, and he gets no bonus on either one, so I'm just going to do 2 back to back. So first one and second one. He just says this one thing and you catch it under his breath. He goes, the little shit didn't know when to walk the line. Yeah, he was the kid just didn't have common sense. And you could almost hear it under his breath. He didn't even know he did it, as drunk people don't. They say things sometimes, as T will attest, as bouncing with me. Sometimes they'll say something they don't even know they've said. And yes, he did. And you caught it as clear as day. It was low, but you were tuned in, and your insight caught it. So
is that sufficient or
it's you could. It's probable. You'd need a little more from him, and you'd need somebody definitely listening in. So, Dustu, do your perception to see if you heard, because you were close enough. You were within 10 feet. See if you caught what he said under his breath.
I guess another
No.
question for
Yeah.
you now.
He
I was
says.
going to say, like, as captain, when a young crew member doesn't know when to quit, when they don't know when to walk the line, how does a real captain, not necessarily you, but just someone who embodies what it means to be a captain, how does he deal with it?
Oh, I love your questions. Give yourself 100 experience. I like how you take this to him. Let's see how he responds. That's a natural, but we got a disadvantage, so he goes, I think you know. He just leaves it there. Without that natural, he would have said nothing to you. But because he rolled at a disadvantage, he let a little bit slip. Now, do you have intimidation? I know you do. Do your intimidation roll.
Like, from a meta perspective, I don't think a 1'9" kobold is going to be intimidating. If that makes sense.
You're not using it necessarily as a scare the crap out of him, as you're using it instead of your deception to press him, like you're doing.
Throw him a look, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, God, there's your one, finally.
It's been a wee while.
All right, good. The best time for it. Oh. Well, 1 and a 2, some days it goes that way. So, yeah, I know, right? I love the Freya look. Akeisha's look, if you can see it for real, it's the one eye up and the one eye going, what the hell? Yep, he just says, you know how that works, don't you, being a sailor? And he starts to get up. And he starts to nod to thank you. And you can tell he's a little bit out of sorts. All right, so do for me a stealth, Mike, to see if anybody sees you. Or are you making it obvious you're sliding the lock? All right. Other than maybe Freya and Silver, who know what you're doing.
I have no idea.
Nope, you're just relaxing. Ooh. All right, so now I got to do some perceptions near you. At least the two on the two sides. Let's see how they do. They get they're this, so their perception is what? Okay, so they get a +2 on the roll. But because people have been drinking and eating, the one at the right-hand side to you has it. The one does not have a advantage on that one at all. Yeah, he does see that one. Golly Moses. And the one to the left, yep. Both of them see it. This guy here, whoops, and this guy here. And both stand up and turn to look your direction. And this guy out loud says, what the hell you think you're doing locking the door? Looking straight at you. All right. And now, now at this time, this room comes alight because he says it loud enough that it rumbles over the din. And even Krebs, you can see, Balaam and Nicodemus see Krebs reaching for something under the bar. Now, he's not pulling it, but he's reaching for something. The barmaid is shifting over this direction towards Krebs. And so we go. All right, so I'm going to have to put, let's see, I got 2 rolls I got to do for. This is going to be fun.
Okay, are we rolling initiative?
We already have the initiative rolled. You guys rolled it. I just haven't rolled it for the rest of them. So let's see what...
Before the battle begins, I see the electric gear getting ready to rumble.
Yep.
I'll cast my ready spell on them.
All right.
What?
So the sailors do suck ass. Forgive my language. They're just not doing well. Okay, so Krebs is up there if he needs to. And then... All our barmaid goes on that. All right. Here we go, having some fun. All right, so 19. Lyric is the first one out of the box that can do something.
Before I about to kind of pass my spell in this here,
Okay.
for 20 foot.
All right. So what the 20-foot burst going to do for them? Let's see. Calm emotions. Okay. So concentration. You have a strong emotions in a group. Each human. Okay, must make a cost save. All right. So what's their charisma saves? So we'll start here with this one right here at the top. Okay. So charisma save on that one. Fortunately, none of them really seem to have a major... Okay, so that's a 13. What's their save need to be from you on the saving throw side?
Oh, my saving throws?
Yeah.
My saving throws are 16.
Alright, so this one doesn't make it. This one doesn't make it. Let's go for our girl here. She's got a +1 on that. Okay, so this one does. So I'm going to do something here. I'm going to put a little dot on her. There is her dot. Let's see if I can do that. Do here. I'm going to do a pink dot on her. So she made the save. Whoa, no X on that. Just that. And then we're going to do this guy here. He doesn't get any bonuses. Oh, but he rolls a natural 20. Son of a biscuit. He is ready to roll, so I'm going to put a purple on him. All right, so 2 of them made it. 2 of them did not. These 2 are just calm. Yep, so the 20-foot burst, that could affect your own people, too. It depends on how you want to play it, but you could affect your own people. And that may not be a bad thing in the fact if it's calm to your own people. Just because it'll keep them from doing something rash. All right.
I think everyone in 20 foot burst.
All right. So Lyric calmly gets up and then turns over here to our bartender and goes, Krebs, let your hand come off of things. You don't need to worry yourself about this. And then Krebs' hands come up, and he raises them and goes, no problem, Lyric. I'm just protecting the bar. She goes, Krebs, we'll not destroy your bar. And so that's her go on things. But you can see she is already... Let's see, what is she going to do to our boy over there? Okay, so... She will... She's got more than just zapping spells. Let's see what would be a good one. Ooh, that would be a good one. What's the distance on that? 60 feet. Let's see. She is within... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. She's within it. All right. She goes, no, Gregor. And you just hear point. And you can see he is surrounded by these blue, hellish-looking flames. And he's like, ah! And he gets to make his save at a disadvantage on his dex, which is good for him normally. But he's at a disadvantage. So there's the first one. It's a 15. And the second one is an 11. He misses. So he takes 2d10 in flame damage. So he takes 10 points of damage. Going, ah! And he looks like he's a little singed right now, as she is just purring. All right, the next one is Balaam. Balaam moves over here with his weapon, 1, 2, 3, and he looks at this guy right here, and he goes, it would not be a good idea for you to draw your weapon. This does not involve you. And his rapier is his cutlass is pointing across the table, right near the arm of the guy sitting. And he's just letting it sit with that. So there's number 2. Dustu, it is back to you again.
So here's my calm emotions affected.
It is. These two right here that I'm pinging are calm, still drinking and eating. This one over on the far side here, she just looks horrified. But then shrugs and takes a drink. This guy looks tense. But with Balaam pointing a cutlass at him, he's at a real disadvantage if he tries to get up. He's going to get whacked with an attack of opportunity. So Veritas, I'll go ahead, Dustu. That's all right. So what do you want to do at this point? Do you have to? Let me see on that. Are you concentrating on that or not? Concentration up to a minute. So you have to. You can't cast another spell because it's a concentration effect.
I will just, I would sit down and read my shoes.
All right, perfect. Veritas, it is to you. New ability.
I didn't get a 10.
Silver, were you up there at the top of the order?
Before Dustu.
Oh, I'm sorry. She is. I am so sorry. Silver, go ahead and take your turn. I am sorry, Yumi. I missed you on there. I whizzed past after Balaam. It is your turn. But Dustu, I'll keep Dustu's action, but you can go ahead and then Mike can go after that. Sorry, Mike.
I am going to go up to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to stand there with my mace. Kind of deal with Balaam did is basically if he moves, I'm going to hit him.
Whack a sailor. So he's boxed in. So if we move you over here, so the two of you got him boxed in. So he literally would have to dive across the table, which would be a bad thing. All right. So you guys have got that one out of action. You are next, I guess, Mike, on that one. Sorry again, Yumi. That's a good move. And he's just sitting there eyeing his weapon but not doing anything.
Okay, so I'm going to cast just an unbroken hair, and I'm going to wipe that evil smirk off that
Grinch. Mr. Evil hands. Oh, wow. All right. So, he gets a +1 normally on this, but again, because he's slightly tipsy, it's a disadvantage. So, first one would have been a successful one. The second one, however, is miserably failing. So you literally hit him. It almost seemed like he was going to succeed, but his drunken demeanor just flashed before his eyes, and what he thought he did, he didn't do, which is get out of the way. Wow. Alrighty. Oh, wow. All right, so literally you throw him into the back corner here, and he slams into the door, which hits the cook, knocking her back into this room. And the wind goes out of him as he goes, whoo! And he's just sitting there looking up with a kind of drunken and wind knocked out of me look, gasping for air. And it's Willow's turn. Oh no, you have more. Uh-oh. Okay. Do your move.
So, what are your rules about moving through a square with somebody?
If they are someone who is going to attack, it's an attack of opportunity. If they are someone who's sitting and not doing anything, it will slow you down one move, is all. 1 5-foot move to get through there. It'll cost you 10 instead of 5 to get through there. So which square are you... Now, something else you could do, and again, it will cost you a 5-foot, but it's a clear thing, is you run up, jump onto the table, continue to keep moving across the table, and then jump down, which will cost you no extra moves. So it costs you only 5 to go up and over that table where Dustu is, and go between Dustu and the guy in the gold circle up there with the older looking gentleman, the white hair. Alright. You could go through Yuki's, because Yuki, they are small enough that, and Yuki is familiar with you, even though Yuki would tense a little. When Yuki saw the corner of their eye that it's you, would probably relax. And you'd be behind the other guy with the white hair, so he really wouldn't get to react. That's Nicodemus. Yeah, you could go up and over the bar stool and over the bar. Nicodemus won't even flinch. Boom. All right. So you're there unchallenged, no biggie. And he's just kind of looking out towards you because he saw you punch the air and then he flew out. His chair is on the ground. I mean, that chair looked like it's just been crushed. The way you hit him and the way he flew out of there, it just broke a leg and down that chair went. All right. All right. Willow. What will you do, Miss Willow Everblossom?
I'm going to run up to the bar. Slide across the bar.
I love that.
Slide across the bar.
Oh yeah, do me an acrobatics check. That is, if you could do that, you're going to have the awe of most of the people in the bar. Okay, so you had in your mind, you had... Yes, you do. Do you want to go ahead? All right. Yes, that's how you envisioned it the first time. You just literally slide down the bar smiling and end up landing at the end of the bar, totally on your feet, like a gymnast would land, you know, doing the several leaps, and just smiling at Gregor. And roll and do a roll for what color of season you are right now. Because that's got your adrenaline pumping. Or you can control it if you know how you would be feeling sliding down the bar. Alright, so go ahead. That's, you know what I gave you earlier on that, so you go ahead and that way you can control the destiny of how you look. I believe that was winter, maybe, colors. Because we went autumn, winter, spring, summer, I think. Alright, so...
I think I'll do spring. Spring's my favorite.
Alright. Alright, so you are a beautiful spring color right now.
Then you like to cast on a bad guy who's just on punch the ground.
Oh, nice. Alright, so he's got to do a wisdom save. Oh! Yeah, he's at a disadvantage because he's drunker than a skunk. So, let's see. The first one would have been a 20, which probably would have made it. But the second one's a natural 1. So, literally, he is held by you. All right. I know, right, Akeisha? This is going well too well of plan. You'd think the whole bar would be erupting. But it's not. It's not.
5 minutes extra.
Oh, yeah. There's actually a couple claps from right at the bar, the two you slid by. They're just clapping. They're in total approval and awe of what you just did. And even Krebs, you got a raised eyebrow from Krebs.
Yeah, I didn't wreck the bar.
No, you knocked some glasses aside. Well, actually, no. The two sailors caught their glasses before you went by, as did Nicodemus, and it went beautifully. Yeah, they're feast or famine. They're going one direction or the other. All right, so Yuki, it is their turn. Let's see what we can do.
Okay, I'm thinking I need to finish this as quickly as possible.
Okay.
I don't feel like taking him out peacefully and showing him to the council is going to work, is it?
No, you get the feeling that, unfortunately, even if you drag him in, what other than unless you can bring the body and get the body to talk, what can you do? They could possibly hold him, but it would be possible that Scarin gets told.
I'm going to draw back to this point and draw my Yumi
Mm-hmm.
and fire it at the supposed murderer.
All right. Do your shot. He's held, so he gets. You roll at advantage. It's okay because you roll at advantage. So re-roll. Not moving. Other than wearing armor, doesn't get any dex bonuses. Oh yeah, you hit so solidly.
Okay, and then I'm going to roll damage.
All right. Whoops. Nope. Click down on where it says Yumi Longbow, and that'll do your damage.
It's been a while.
That's okay. No problem. I do the same thing, believe me.
To waste a good roll.
It's okay.
So I hit
You click,
longbow.
yeah, where it says Yumi Longbow, you take your mouse pointer and click there, and it should come up with the roll of the damage. There you go. 8 solid points. He looks rough. I mean, at the start he looked intimidating. Now he's looking pretty small. Bleeding, battered, and held.
I'm going to step back.
Okay. All right.
My turn.
End your turn. All right. So we're to Freya. We're up to you, Freya. Actually, no, Shadow. Shadow goes before you do. I'm sorry. Shadow's on the 6.18. I got to reorder that after this round. Shadow, what would you like to do, T? Yeah, he's a walking, talking bruise. Exactly. Now, you do believe, even the goods here believe, that with what the body told you, if you could get it to re-say it again, you would be justified in taking him out. But the question will be, what will the bar say? All the people in the bar. Yeah, in a sense you kind of are, because Gregor was going to go and this guy was reaching for his weapon over by Silver, but then chose not to. And everybody else has kind of wailed on Gregor. So he's held. You do know that from what Willow did, sliding down the bar and doing it in style and landing. And that Veritas punched the living daylights out of him. And that Yuki basically pin-cushioned him to the wall. He's still alive. Rough, but alive. Sorry for the snort laugh, but it just all kind of funny. No, I don't think many people do feel sorry for him, because if what he did was true, he murdered the kid under him. And enough was said in Yuki's mind to judge him. Definitely. As you you have enough in your mind. You couldn't prove it in a court, so letting him live would only let him escape. The only thing you're not going to get right away from him is, was it scaring behind it or not? That you don't know.
We can still find out.
You could. Yep. So, it is up to you, T, what you want to do. Just let me know. If you're not at your laptop or...
So has it all erupted or no?
It has all... Well, in a sense, it kind of did, because he was going to leave. And the feeling by most of the party was that he was going to escape. The front door is locked.
Oh, the door is locked?
Yeah. You don't know if the guard went by. You don't hear any knocks yet of any more patrons coming in. The rest of them are either calmed at this table or shocked and then all up here, or like this table, just kind of holding judgment.
And this is him next to Yuki, right?
This is, well, no, not next to Yuki. This is him right over here in the back corner. That's because you can thank Mike for that. He has a special maneuver as a monk where he hit him and knocked him because he didn't make his save 20 feet away and into the wall.
Okay, what about these over here?
This one was going to, but thanks to Balaam and Silver, he thought better. These two were calmed by Dustu's spell and are just relaxed, not doing anything other than eating. She is alarmed, but doesn't look like she's going for any type of weapon. She's got a knife on her, but not going for anything. This one, however, looks like he is getting both taught strong, like he's going to do something. This one isn't. He's just sitting there kind of figuring out what to do. Krebs also was going to go for a weapon, but Lyric told him, don't do it. And she held back from lighting him up. She lit instead Gregor up with the hellish rebuke. So.
Okay, I'm going to make my way over here, but I can't see the rest of the screen.
Oh, okay. All right. So what you see there, that puts you in line with Lyric and the barmaid. Now you can see over to him. So hang on here. I can show you what else is over here. Let's do a reveal. Where's my reveal? All right. There's reveal. All right. So what you can see, whoops, hang on here. This should be revealing stuff here. There's this. And then there is this. Boy, somebody's enjoying themselves over there, bro. The ladies are enjoying themselves, I'll have to say. All right. So, yeah, you can see a door next to you that probably goes back to the inn's rooms. The tavern and inn's rooms. And you can see all the way here to see Gregor way over there. So it's up to you what you do next. You did your move. You'd have to shoot around Krebs if you're going to shoot anything. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. You can take a step or whatever and fire. Again, you'd be closer to Lyric when you did it, but yeah, you can. Because Krebs...
He held prone, though. He's knocked down and you get up.
Yes. Yeah, he is. No, he's not. Krebs is actually standing closer here. That's why I'll put him onto the bar to this thing grabbing the weapon. So you got a pretty clear shot. Nope. The short bow goes off. You whiz past the barmaid. She goes, ah! Drops whatever she was holding, and it sticks into this door here, and you hear a cry from behind here of startle, because your arrow goes through the wooden door. And, yeah, sticking out the other side. And there's a look of... There's no look of change at all in his face, because a whole person literally, other than breathing, gives paralysis. He can't even do facial feature changes. So, All right. So now we're to.
Does that mean you can't talk to you?
No, not unless Willow allows him to. I kind of do a whole person as they are totally, because again, you don't want them to mouth a spell if they're a spellcaster. So I do whole person as they are totally paralyzed unless the caster chooses to give them the ability to speak.
No, it doesn't. But, on his run, he can roll and try and break out.
Okay. So. All right, I see you typing, bro. I know something's going to come in there. Yeah, they're 5 foot squares. Yep, 5 foot in the bar. Because this isn't a really big tavern, an inn. It's a small one. Way smaller than the Mariners Guild. And the snapping line. Next up after Shadow's turn is Freya. So Akeisha, you are... I remember you rolled low, so you're the last to go on this one. But, not least. And it's up to you. I mean, alignment... You can take the sway of this is a murderer, and even if you took him, he would most likely find a loophole out. If you killed him and then said we knew he was a murderer, but we'll verify it with you by using Dustu's ability. It's up to what Dustu feels in all this, because the guy is literally a cold-blooded killer in your mind, without a shadow of a doubt. And justice would mediate execution probably for the crime at a minimum in this town. But it has to be proved. Boy, lots of silences everybody's thinking.
So then, whose turn is it?
It's Akeisha. It's Akeisha, Freya's action.
Okay, since I will to take him on the ball, like it would be in line with at least some sense of justice and as well if he leaves his ball, as much influence as he has.
Yep.
So that's me roll.
That's your fear. I mean, at least from how confident he was acting.
Indeed. But that's just my input.
Sure.
I think you shouldn't kill him.
Mm-hmm.
I actually know I can get his fist from him. Then I can get around him.
Yep. Well, I mean, if you see Freya is going to attack, you can try to verbally dissuade her. But that's or anyone that attacks, because you've got a full view of the room as a turtle. You can swing that head around and see any of your compatriots and what they're going to do. So far, it looks like they're, with the exception of Willow and Balaam and Nicodemus, that they're going to judge and jury him here. It just looks it. This one right here, down here, looks to be problematic. He looks like he's at some point going to do something. He's not. He's held off this round to see what all of you are going to do. His hand is on his weapon.
Leave him to me, Willow. I can deal with Gregor. I have a plan.
Okay.
I'm just gonna keep him whole. I don't wanna.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, keep him whole. Don't kill him. Let him deal.
Won't kill him. I think he should. I believe we have more sway in the council than he made out, and I think they'll believe us. We've done a lot. We've been honest. We've been human. Why would we lie about this?
Mm-hmm. All
And
right.
they could even go to boys' resting place themselves. I think Dustu would be more than willing to cast the spell again to prove it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think he's trying to put us off going to the council. Of course he is, but I don't think he's going to stand up.
Okay. All right, Freya, you're up to swing to see what you want to do. I mean, Willow's kind of giving you that look of, don't hurt him.
Oh, you can knock him out. He's easier to transport if he's unconscious.
Yeah.
Go ahead, do that, but non-lethal damage.
Yeah. Up to this point, it has been lethal, but that easily you can tailor your spell in such a way that the force hits him with only enough impact to drive him head into the wall. In other words, you pull back enough off the throttle that it won't be killing damage, like normal magic missiles would be. And his hand drops off of his weapon as he looks over to you, seeing the wand and thinking twice on it. Alright, so we go to top of the order. Let me reorder this so that T's in the right order. Okay. Lyric walks up to, let's see, let's get her select thing, the bar. She goes 1, 2, and then she's going to use her acrobatics to get up on there, since that for her is part of her heritage. So normally she wouldn't have an acrobatics, she's got. So I've kind of played her a little bit off wrong. I should have it checked. It was my mistake not checking it, because that's considered a racial thing for her. And so she uses it, and beautiful. She literally just hops up and then down and walks over to here. And she goes, "Oh, Gregor, I see you have the cat having your tongue. I suggest you go quietly, yes? Otherwise you cause trouble for your friends in here. And I don't think Krebs will have you back anytime soon if you wreck his bar." And Krebs, like, looking at her like, nope, I don't think I would. And she goes...
I'll allow him to speak.
He just kind of looks and goes, "What are you going to do with me?" She goes, "Oh dear, you're going to stand trial. And if you don't, we're going to have our own trial. And I don't think it will be as merciful," she says with a big, toothy grin. And
I almost want to, just for the effect, have the hold grasped a little bit tighter.
Well, she is going to use, let's see, does she have... Yeah, she has persuasion, so she's going to use her persuasion roll versus intimidation. Just so he knows, and he has a look across his face of damn, and just says, "Fine, whatever, take me to your damn council." So, it ends peacefully. and Crab goes, "Can you take him and leave? I'd really like to get back to using my bar for dinner time."
Is anybody else, the people that were aggressive, do they look like they're going to make a move?
Nope. As where you have it with Freya pointing her magic missile weapon at the one, and then you two having your weapons at the other, there you get the feeling if you have Willow and Veritas and a few of the others drag him out like Shadow, then the rest of you could follow out and no one's going to do anything. Because they know once they get into the street, open combat in the street's going to bring the militia. And that's a lose-lose for everybody. Not that you're aware of.
And how is she gonna react once my spell ends?
You didn't get the feeling that they were ever going to do anything. Yeah, it's a seedy bar, but just because it's a seedy bar doesn't mean everybody in it's seedy. If the food's good and the prices are reasonable, fisher folk will come in, as will sailors. The one that has the purple dot and then the other one closest to you, Dustu, look like the two that would have done something. Maybe his cohorts. The rest look like... I mean, the ones at the bar are just applauding again Willow. They're just... They love it. What she did was so amazing. They've never seen that before. So you have their admiration.
Could I pass 5 gold to the owner and just say sorry for the inconvenience here today? I hope it won't affect your business in the future.
No, he says you were careful enough and you're dealing with it. Better than I thought it was going to be. He says, I thought I'd have to knock a few heads, but far be it from me. And Nicodemus just smiles at him and then puts down a platinum. He goes, you're not going to do anything about it, are you, Krebsy? He goes, nope. Didn't happen. Did not happen, he says. Thank you, Nicodemus. Fairly done. And he just puts his hands up, goes back to, getting the glasses ready for dinner time, and you guys have got the ability to leave at this point.
I'm gonna take my cloak off. I'm gonna put it over Gregor's head so he can't see me.
Okay. Yeah. Krebs looks over and goes, Lene, take them out the back. She goes, fine. And she goes, follow me. And takes you guys back here, which will open up to reveal some areas. Where's reveal? There it is. Reveal areas. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. And let's see.
Got some rope to tie his arm.
That's up to you guys if you have any rope on you to tie him. I mean, he's not going anywhere right now, and that it can last up to a minute. So you guys have got enough time to get him tied up before that thing's going to drop.
We should at least tie his arm.
Does anybody got the 50 feet of regular rope on them?
I believe it's in an explorer's pack, which I
Yep.
have.
Yep. So you can literally wrap him up and put some very solid knots. Especially with Shadow's help, being a rogue, he can put some pretty impossible knots into the rope that he's not going to get out of. And you guys literally could gag him, too.
Okay, I don't really feel like there's much of a need to gag him.
Okay.
But that's just my opinion.
So out here is the back road. Out the back door.
I can carry him and over my shoulders, and him lengthwise across between space between the back of my neck and my shell.
What's your strength, Dustu, to see if you can carry him?
Oh,
Yeah. 9. Nope. You're not going to...
He walked and came quietly. And I don't think he needs gagging either. I kind of want to draw attention to himself.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Veritas and them are not that strong. Shadow, are you strong? Nope. Yeah, I think your strongest guy in your group is Balaam, I'm afraid. Yeah, Balaam's got a 14. Nicodemus has a 12. There you go. Silver can kiss. Don't need one of the guys to do it. Let Silver carry him over. Who's going to question with Silver about her carrying him down the street? Because of any of the face of the party, Willow and her are probably the two most trustable.
Nah, strength's not my jam.
Not most of the people's here. I think Yuki, but Yuki's pretty short. But is Yuki strength that? No, that's negative. Nope. so
I honestly think it would be better. Well,
so literally,
he's got the Veritas was kind enough to cover his face, so he should walk nicely.
Yeah, it's up to you guys. I mean, Silver could easily pull him along. He isn't going to put up much fight. I mean, he's got some strength to him, but he's about 3 strength points below Silver. So Silver literally could drag him down the street. I mean, she looks like, Cara Dune on the Mandalorian. That's about Silver's build on arm strength with a 16 strength. You have arms about as big as Cara Dune's. Okay. There's a on the front door, and you can hear somebody say, "Open in the name of the militia."
Let's go. Run.
Krebs just like, go quickly out. And then he starts walking slowly over to the door and going, "Oh, no problem. We just had a small scuffle, but I kicked him out. There's no worry, officer." And by that time, all of you are out of there, so I will just gently move the party to an area over here that everybody's together, because necessarily it's up to you whether you want me to do the council room thing where you pull everybody together, because this is going to be, at this time of night, somebody's going to have to go get Ada, and okay. All right, so going back to the boat with him, are you going to stick him in the little cubby hole where you found your aquatic elf? All right. All right, so I will go to your boat now. Since I've got that, I can copy and paste everybody over to the boat. Yeah. All right. Hang on here. Let me... okay, so I got to get everybody off the boat for where you guys were. Give me 2 seconds here. Oh, I forgot... Huh. Hang on here. Alright, so there's that. We move our guys to where everybody would be on the boat. Some of them would be down there in that area. And then, let's see, Yuki off of there. Yeah, if you want to take a 10-minute bio break, I can get everything set up when everybody's back. And that way we have everybody set for our, let's bring them on the boat and have the interrogation. All right, so be my guest, everybody. Take a 10-minute, and we'll see everybody back in about 10 minutes.
I sent you the new picture, by the way, Rick.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Oh,
Okay. Just waiting on everybody else.
yeah, I think Rick's still away.
Hello.
All right. Hopefully everybody's finishing up here and hopping back on.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Oh,
Yay. All right. So as you see, I've got the ship pulled up. Wherever you guys want to move on the ship, let's see. I got to make sure that we're about the. See, Yuki, can I make you smaller? I don't know if they'll let me. Oh, I know how it will. Give me a sec. I know how to do this. Let's see. Where is it? It is in my option of the token. Where's my token stuff? Because I believe I can take the token. Alright, so compact there. Let's see, I think I can make the token smaller, I believe. Somewhere along there. Let's see, there's the auras, note details, dynamic lighting, legacy. Okay, so where can I take it down size-wise? There is a way to reduce these tokens. I know there is. Oops, nope. I gotta think about that. There's a way I can make them smaller. I know there is. Because I've done it on one of them. I'll think about it. There's a way I can definitely do it. And can shrink the size of them. Because that'll make it easier than when you want to be... Because it'll show you a little smaller than what you are on the deal. So, let's see, edit. Can I do that? Nope, edit, front, back, cut, paste, advanced, group, ungroup, layered. Yeah, nope, won't let me do it yet. But there is a way to do it. I'll figure it out over the break, and I will be able to get those things a little bit smaller for those that are a little shorter, like you and Nicodemus. All right, everybody is at the ship. Odette and Alandi are on deck, along with Torg. The I know we call it the pseudo dragon. We need to work with that one. Right now it just says pseudo dragon. I will put that there with Willow for the moment. That's
yeah, I have an ability to use.
oh good.
Yeah.
All right.
When you send to the other tokens, you can make something.
Yeah, I will.
A little bitty one.
That's why Bims has got a little token for you, because we left Bims out of the whole thing. Baron's up on deck along with Corinna. Corinna is your second mate. Basically, she is the bosun second mate type of job. And she says to you, Silver, welcome aboard. Oh. Why is Gregor here? She says, looking over at you with kind of astonished disbelief. Gregor's hanging his head for the moment.
He's the murderer of Anders.
Anders Solomor, she goes. Are you sure?
Oh yes, he said it from the grave. He got it from the grave.
She looks over at Gregor and goes, you rat bastard. She goes, how could you do such a thing to your employer? She goes, that's just low. Low. You're no better than a pirate. And he just looks over at her with a sidelong look and then just hangs his head again. She goes,
We're going to keep him here until we can get the council to review him.
she goes, well, Captain, there's that area 2 decks down where they kept the one prisoner, your aquatic elf that you'd let free. You could.
Sounds like a good area to keep them in.
Okay. She goes, be very. She goes, Captain, permission to speak openly. And whoever takes him down, it looks like Balaam's going to take him down and secure him down in the area.
Permission granted?
She goes, he won't be the only one. There's quite a few people on his fishing boats that are loyal to him. Well, actually, loyal not just to him, but I guess Scarin's kind of holding the helm until Anders' sister, Maria, gets here. Be very careful. She goes, if word of this gets out on the docks that you have him, they'll come, she says. They'll come and bring him back. And she goes, there's at least 15 loyal to him among that fishing fleet of 30 boats. And she goes, you don't want them. There's some pretty tough characters. I know, because she goes, I drank with some of them before. She goes, you're lucky you got him here at all. Honestly. I'm surprised somebody wasn't watching. But if word of this gets around town, she goes, I just hate to see them come onto the boat and try to take the boat.
Maybe we could get a hold of Ada and see if we could meet with Counselor tonight.
Yeah, probably.
Move the boat out to sea. That way we can get along.
Corinna goes, no, that'd be even worse. She goes, they could come on board and no one would know they're attacking you. She goes, you don't want to... She goes, I know the fleet under the Solomor house. She goes, there used to be... She goes, how do I say it? She goes, the crew here of yours, all of us are loyal to you. But she goes, there's...
You're having really good issues. There's nothing wrong with your mic. You're speaking out of it.
Yeah, it sounds like cutting in and out.
You're really squeaky.
Well, I'm thinking maybe we should reconsider this and send somebody to Ada.
Yeah. She goes, my biggest concern in all this, Captain, is that the Solomors had a big fleet here. She goes, Anders' mother had good sailors from around our parts. The ones that have come in, there's only probably half the sailors that are from this part. The rest came from Baldur's Gate. I'd put a betting woman's bet that they're like Gregor is. And they'll do things that the others in the crew may not. But they'll come. She goes, they're a shifty lot. Good fishers all, but crooked as a bent bow tree, she says. I'd just be real careful and watch your backs. She goes, we'll watch you here and protect you as best as we can. She goes, I'll make sure the crew's on alert. But she says you need to be careful in town, especially... She goes, I'd send one of the crew to go get Ada.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
She goes, Torg. He goes, yes. Can you go find Ada? Yes, I can go find her. She goes, go and get her now. And he goes, aye, aye. And he hops off and runs down the gangplank and heads off in the direction of Ada's house. Fortunately, as all of you know, Ada's close to down on the dock areas, her cottage. So, as you know, it's within vicinity to get there and back pretty quickly. Yes.
Whenever they're going to bleed out, you need to get
No, you could patch him up. If anybody's got any type of medicine skills, you could patch him up. Probably could get one of the ship's guys. Joram probably could help with that. Joram's got some skill when it comes to that. And he could come help you. That's this guy right here. Joram's kind of the ship's medic. I mean, he's got some medic skills. He's not a doctor, but he's close as you're going to get. So he could bind the wounds up. Yeah, if you want. It's either way. I mean, you feel secure on the ship for now, though. Looking around, you can see there's activity on the docks for this hour, and it looks like it's down the way from you towards where the empty nest is. Where down on that side is where a lot of Anders' fleet was, and you can see some figures starting to form down there.
So let's make sure that Gregor's down there before.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's down and in. You know, you can bolt the outside of that door. It's the way it's been fixed up. It used to be a smuggler's hole, both of them, but this time there's a keyhole in this one. It has a piece of wood that'll fit over it, that corks over it. But when you pull it out, it's got a good sturdy lock in there that it would really, somebody would have to have some pretty good picks to get out of.
Yeah, I think we should definitely bolt and lock it.
Okay. Well, you're able to do that, and there's one area where the cork goes in. It's kind of a rectangular cork that has the slide lock, and then there's one for the key lock. So he's held in there pretty good. Takes a little bit, as you can see coming back. You can see Torg and Ada. You also can see a bunch of sailors moving down that way towards the party.
Hey, could I stand outside his door?
You could, yeah. I mean, definitely can. Let's see. Let's get Ada's token. There she is.
I'd like to do that. Oh, and I'll keep an ear out as well, so you can try and hear if there's any shuffling in the room or any suspicious sound.
All right. So Ada and Torg come back on board. There's some militia that comes with Ada, and they stand down on the dock, barring. Yes, honey. What's the matter?
I can't have my coffee.
Why?
I dropped the bottle of creamer and broke the top.
So basically, we have no creamer. Thankfully, you're going to the store, or I am tomorrow, so that'll be good. Yeah. Well, you can always put some sweetener in it. Try it that way. Not that bad. Yeah, that's a tragedy when you can't have creamer in your coffee. I'll drink it black, though, with some sweetener, so, you know.
I was gonna say, what about milk?
No milk, unfortunately. Munchkie is not a milk drinker, and we just don't buy it because we don't cook enough with the milk. Should, but we don't. We've been very sparse since the whole pandemic thing on what we go out and buy, because she just doesn't want to bring home a boatload of things we have to clean, because we clean each item. People would think we got 3 heads, but we use the Clorox wipes on every single item to wipe them down.
I hear you talking about me.
So,
What are you saying?
oh, Yumi was saying you could use milk. I said, yeah, we don't
use it fast enough
Yeah,
to keep it
exactly.
good, so there's no point
We could do a
in
small
buying
one,
it.
but we wouldn't use
But then
enough.
it doesn't stay good long.
Exactly. So, yeah, Ada comes back, and the guards, the militia, basically do this and spread out. There's about 10 militia people that are out there. There are about 25 sailors gathered in front of them arguing and stuff. Those up on deck that are looking over towards the little bit of a scuffle, make a perception check. It'll need to be like a perception 18 or better on your roll. Well, aren't you just perceptive? Wow, Dustu gets a natural 20, so that's another one for Dustu. Nice. So, Silver and Dustu see what I'm going to talk about. Anyone else up there? There is, looks to be Willow up there, and Freya. And then, of course, Nicodemus and Lyric. We're kind of spread out looking over the side. The fracas, the thing's going on this side where the gangplank is. That's where it's docked in. Ooh, Freya's having one of those moments of a natural one. It just isn't going for her. She's looking more at the water. She's more calmed and soothed by the water. Yeah.
I don't know what, like, on the side of our ship. Let's say you climb up the side of the boat. What are your entry points? You're coming off the water, the open side of the boat. Is there portholes or gun openings? I don't know.
No, because there's no black powder cannons on here of any sort. So no. And most of the ballista are up on the deck. So gangplank, or over the side and come over the railing, yeah. And each of your sailors up there have their cutlasses and arms, repelling, what I call repelling hooks. So each of them are kind of in a ready position watching. In fact, Alandi is over here with Odette near this ballista. And
I don't trust you. You're a sneaky Gian. I'm gonna watch the backside.
okay.
It sounds like somebody maybe wants to have a distraction on the one side of the boat. Come up with that.
Could be.
This side,
All right. So you can do your perception out that direction if you want. And then Willow, do you want to do your perception? You can pick the direction of which way you want to go with it.
I'm standing guard at the door.
Ah, so you're down at the door, so I have to put you downstairs. Hang on here. So you would be down here with Balam and Yuki and down in that area in the room. Go ahead.
So I was going to say, I'll take a perception though. In particular, a listening one. I want to check
Okay.
if there's no strange noises coming from inside,
Alright.
and that it's no good. Oh, this is a listening.
All right. Well, it's a good perception. He doesn't sound like he's tapping out any code on the side of the things. He just, every once in a while you hear the rustle of movement in there, but nothing like he's doing anything he shouldn't.
We did tie him, we tied his hands. Did we secure him?
Yeah, you guys tied him in such a way that it would make him very difficult for him to get out of there. You secured... No. Yeah, he just kind of tries to move himself to be more comfortable, but that's about it. Yeah, it would take acts of serious roguery to get free, and he doesn't strike you as that type. He strikes you more of a offensive type than like a lot of sailors are. He's not a pirate type. He's more of a mariner type, which means, he isn't roguey at all.
Well, just keep an ear out then. If I hear anything suspicious, I'll go and check on him.
So there's yelling out there. The ones that got good perception rolls, so Dustu and Silver. You spot what looks to be a figure in between the cannery where you guys are, well, not the cannery, but the fish processing plant, and where you are in Ada's place, which is over that direction. Looking out from around the corner and watching who boards the ship, and then it disappears back into the shadows.
I'm going to ask my captain if I can go down and try and calm the crowd and reason with them. Try and bring a peaceful solution to it all.
Indeed, it would be nice to have a peaceful solution.
You can try.
Okay. All right, so we'll just put you off this way, Dustu, as if you're down there on the thing, even though it has you up here. That's the off the side, or actually I'll just put you in the water. Even though you're not in the water, you're down towards the docks. All right, so Ada comes up, and she looks, again, like she was getting relaxed down for the evening, but she dressed more as if she was a dock working thing than in her formal clothing. And she goes, Torg says you needed me. What can I help you with tonight that couldn't wait for the morning?
We have Gregor in our custody. He's still Anders.
She goes, Gregor Findlast. But he was the one that reported that Anders had been knocked over the side by the boom.
Yes, one of our clerics did like speak with a dead type spell, and we heard it from Anders' own lips.
Okay. So, Dustu, you're able to kind of bring them down a little bit, though there's definitely murderous looks in their eyes. They're calming for the second and saying, well, he better be released. If he's not released by the morning, there'll be trouble. Even if he's guilty. He's one of us. Yeah, someone's mic, we had picked up some weird stuff, but... Well, doesn't matter. We deal with things on the sea that's on the sea, and he's telling the truth. But you get the feeling that probably not. Yeah. It's picking up some movement somewhere of somebody, like wind and stuff, so if somebody's outside or doing the wind, we got some serious feedback.
Sorry.
That's all right. So does anybody know whose mic that is that's kind of cracking up on us? Oh, it's Haven's mic?
How does it sound?
I'd say, Haven, until the mic gets back to kind of normal, if you want, just go ahead and mute it and type it. There we go. Yeah, that way it just saves their ears. I know you're trying to get it to work, and I know when they go, mics go, unfortunately.
I was going to ask, so am I right that you don't feel that he's innocent or that you think he's innocent?
Well, we know he's innocent, so we're not going to take anything that you guys have to say.
I see. So, if a confession was coming to his own next, would you accept that?
Maybe, they said, but at this point, that's to be seen.
Very well. Who is your group leader?
There's a big, burly-looking guy, and he looks like another captain type. He goes, Orem is the big, burly guy. The one they point back to him. Orem went... Orem...
Excuse me, I'm not trying to cut in. I apologize. I just wanted to see how I sounded.
Yeah, you sound good. Now we're back to normal. So, yeah, he goes, Orem is the one you're going to have to convince back there. And Orem looks tough. I mean, he really does. You,
I offer you to come aboard our ship and hear his confession from his own lips.
so, as you're doing this, I'm going to cut back to the other group. Ada is going, so, all right, take me through this. How did an accident turn into a murder? She said. She goes, because that's serious accusations. These, yes, they're new to our city within 4 or 5 years ago, but they're still citizens like you. So I need to know, before we throw out any accusations, how this knowledge came about.
Some of our party went into the crypt and spoke with Anders under a spell, and he said that he got clubbed from behind by a Gregor.
At first, when you were telling her this, her face goes from just shock to almost horror. Because, again, even though it's a good place to go, opening up somebody's crypt to get a confession is kind of a taboo, frowned upon. But you can tell she holds back. She goes, so your spell was able to then confirm that.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
All right. She goes, well, that is serious indeed. Was he able to answer if anyone else was complicit in the? She goes, because I can't just see a fisherman wanting to kill a noble. She goes, that in this city that never happens. Yes, there's disputes. Yes, sometimes people get drunk. Yes, fights occur. Yes, sometimes somebody gets stabbed or accidentally killed. But she goes, to plot a murder like that, that's a lot for a fisher folk to come up with.
Well, Anders didn't say that he knew who else was behind it, but Gregor is hinting that he took him to the council, that he could get off from the murder.
She stands there for a minute and she looks solemn. And she looks over at all of you and she goes, well, I can promise you that I would never let a man walk who is guilty of murder. Nor would Eleander. Eleander and I don't always see eye to eye on why and the direction of this town, but he's a good man, hence why he's on this council. I do trust his decisions when it comes to law and to justice. She goes, Manistrad has her own greed and things that she looks to, but she's no way would tolerate a murderer walking free. She goes, Gellin is pompous at times, and yes, I have to rein him in. And yes, his methodologies sometimes are truly out there. But he handles our finances well and keeps our city in a good position. So then we need to find out who. There's no one else on the council except... She sits there for a minute. Yes, Scarron is filling in the absence of...
The most to gain is what we were thinking.
It would be a serious accusation for Scarron. But he was the chief major domo for Anders and his guardian from his family.
They seem like they disputed about certain things.
Sometimes, yes. She goes, Anders was a good young man, she said. I think probably more fair than most, even more fair than his mother. He really saw a future in our city and for the fishing industry here. And he did his best to uphold that and stand by that. But, she says, if somebody was so inclined, it would rub them wrong if he was this way. It means he's not pliable and someone that could be easily influenced. She goes, he was naive, but he was not pliable in my mind. She goes, this is heinous indeed. She goes, because not only does it throw question into the council, but it also would throw a brake on us helping the lizard folk until we could sort out our own internal business. And it could affect the town or the city itself. And to me, that's just unthinkable. Where is he? She says.
We have him down in the bottom of the ship in a hotel.
Is there anyone in your group that could make him speak truthfully? Not saying torture. She goes, I will not allow that in this city.
I believe Dustu can.
So Veritas raises his hand.
You get the feeling that there are times in defending the town that she would support your actions, but in this case where it's against somebody who is a citizen, that kind of dances on the outer fringes of things. She goes, Torg, go get the other counselors. Rouse them. And not Scarin. The other counselors. He goes, yes. And he heads off the ship and heads to go get them. And as he goes down and passes, he nudges you, Dustu, and says, Ada wants to see you.
So I then invite the leader of the rabble to come with me as I walk up if he wants to hear the truth for himself.
He goes, I'll wait and see what they come up with. He goes, I will be back. And he wanders off with about 5 of his guys. And they're heading... They head out, and you catch where they're going for a little bit. They turn to the right, going what would be... Oh, what direction is that on the map? To tell you guys. Give me a sec here. My maps. They head towards what would be it's going the direction that would have gone towards the Temple of Valkur, but you know out that way that thing branches off and goes towards the Solomor house. And you get the feeling that's where they are headed, is the Solomor house. But,
As I head back to the ship, before my captain and managed to disperse the rebel temporarily.
Okay. You come on up, and Ada looks at you very seriously and goes, so, I've heard the story. Your Captain Silver has told us along with others in the group. Can you question Gregor without... Okay. Then... Alright. Go ahead.
Sorry, is that a small question? Can I kill for sure?
You can make a perception. It's possible. They are talking loud, but not too loud. But there are open areas that go down into the lower hold, and there's 2 of them. There's like this one here, and then there's this one here. So, do me a 22. You're hearing discussion about questioning.
Okay, can I step up to where the discussion is taking place?
Oh, sure, yeah. If you go right over to here, you should be able to hear it pretty well. Coming down.
I will let this dude finish. I apologize.
No problem. That's all right. No. That's fine. At least it lets me know what you're doing. So you get, and yeah, definitely a bam for you, Akeisha. You get the feeling that it could be an equal timing when they come back with the other counselors, and if somebody from Scarin's household would show up.
I'll ask her when she wants to start questioning.
Immediately. She goes, that way then I can be witness to this for the other counselors. She goes, there's no reason. And she goes, and I trust Nicodemus and Lyric to also have an impartial thing for the city. She goes, go and bring him up. But, she goes, don't put him over near the railing. I don't want to incite their people. This is going to be very delicate as it is, if he is the only one involved. we don't know how far this goes. So, who's going to go down and bring him up? You hear it, Yuki. You could technically bring him up if so chosen.
You know, if someone shouts down to Willow, she'll just bring him up.
All right. So I'll move him up there, and then you guys can move your tokens, and we'll move Bim's up there. So he's brought out right to about there. I'll move Bim's up. If everybody else wants to move theirs, Bimsy will be over here on the ballista. Balam takes up over here beside the gangplank along with Lyric over here to make sure, and Nicodemus. All three are making sure nobody comes on board that should not come on board while everybody else handles the discussions. Now, Evie... Oh, okay, sure. Are you not controlling it? Hang on here, let me look here.
Actually, can't see where it is.
Yeah, you can do it. You should be able to. And then Shadow, you should be able to move yours up, bro, depending on if you're there or wherever needed. And then I know Yuki can. I know Haven can move them up.
Okay, I will do that.
All right. So, Dusty, what spell are you going to cast?
Well, first I start drawing symbols all around him into a circle.
Okay. All right.
And start splashing him with water or chanting.
All right. Good. Zone of Truth creates this until the spell ends. The creature that enters it for the first time must make a charisma. On a failed save, the creature cannot speak a deliberate lie. Okay. So let's see what the charisma is on this guy. It's a 0, I believe. Nope. It is a 1. All right, so he's got a roll. Ooh, what's his need to make the save? He made the save. Yeah, I'll let you use a what is the point I call them? Hang on here, let me get that on. Nah, it's not that. It wouldn't be a reroll. It would be a inspiration. If you have an inspiration, and everybody had 1 or 2 in the beginning, if you haven't burned one of those, then yes.
How does that work though? 'Cause it hasn't rolled anything.
All right, so then
It's just his spell PC against whatever the guy rolls. Like you can't re-roll that.
all right. From what I understand, let's see.
Give him advantage if you want to, but there's no re-roll there.
We're gonna. What I would say is it wouldn't be a re-roll. It would, by using an inspiration, you can force him to roll at disadvantage, or he'd have to roll a second time and take the worst of the rolls. So it doesn't mean he'll fail. It just means he re-rolls again and takes the worst of the 2. Yep, inspiration can be used in that way. All right, so let's do it, and we will roll it. And hopefully this is a suck. Ooh, he rolled even better. God. Yeah, he just defiantly spits at your feet. Says, I'm not going to say a thing. Not until my people.
There's always force.
Yeah, but you get the feeling that Ada will frown upon that heavily.
Does it make any difference if Ada is the one asking the questions? Is he obligated to answer to her?
It just says that until the spell ends, a creature that enters the spell area for the first time on a turn or starts a turn there must make a charisma save. On a failed save, the creature can't speak a deliberate lie within the radius. You know whether the creature succeeds or fails on its saving throw. An affected creature is aware of the spell and thus can avoid answering questions that it would normally respond to with a lie. Such a creature can be evasive in its answers as long as it remains within the boundaries of the zone. So you would not know if he failed necessarily. I will put that as players, but you can go ahead and ask him. He's just made his saves. So we'll see if you can gain anything out of him. And you can use persuasion to try to do it. You could use intimidate if you're creative with it. But let's see what you can get out of him.
Please tell us your accomplice's name why you killed the boy.
Well, if I had accomplices, and if I did do that, wouldn't it be foolish for me to give those names out? You can see Ada's watching very sternly with him. And that's what he answers. No. So the persuasion. In other words, he doesn't avoid what you're saying or just outright sit silent. He just dances around it. You get him to talk, but not in a way that is incriminating. It's just evasive. And it looks bad.
Could I ask, why would Anders tell us that you murdered him if you didn't?
Maybe he didn't. Maybe your friend is making this up. Maybe he's not good at what he does.
Maybe we should go back to Anders' grave and ask him again whilst Ada's present. How do you feel about that?
Oh, now that's good. Roll. You can either roll an intimidate or a perception. That would be an intimidation, technically, or not perception, but persuasion.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, you're intimidating. You're intimidating him right now into trying to not lie.
It's very charismatic, so.
That's a good roll. He gets. And you can tell Ada's been watching this closely. The look that crosses his face of one of, oh crap. And he's trying to recover and he goes, well, what would a body tell you anyways? And how would you know whether it's... what if it's necroman... And he's trying to dance around these things, but he's failing miserably. What? Well, You
can talk to his corpse, or you can talk to his ghost.
All right, do your intimidate on that. That's now you're playing upon how well he knows religion. Which, yeah, roll an advantage on that one because honestly, he doesn't know religion, so you could trip him up. If he knew it, it'd be different, but he doesn't. Oh yeah, he's just all of a sudden starting to turn real white as a sheet, and he goes, wasn't my idea. The kid would have just listened to us. Just listened. Damn it all. I'm not going down for this alone. I'm not. The Lord's Council put me in friggin' Icewind Dale. I'm not going there.
Maybe you should tell us who else was involved.
Fine. It was scaring. It was all his idea. His and Maria's. To take the place, since Anders wouldn't listen. And if my crew rescued me, we'd all be out of this now. But now we all have to face the fact that we were there and knew what happened. Yes, the whole damn crew watched as I knocked him senseless and beat his head. He's like, Ada goes, this is serious. Not only will you go to the Lord's Council, but I will recommend your execution by it. To murder an innocent lord of a town or a council member is beyond reprehensible. Mm-hmm.
Yes, he absolutely should be severely punished, but execution makes it just
She should.
beg for his life. I stand down on one knee and say, I am here only to plead before you to spare his life. Second time to anything else, but do not take his life. I beg and do this. I hope capture him. I know he's horrible, but neither of you sisters that no one is beyond a change of heart, beyond change, beyond redemption.
Okay.
So I beg of you,
Well said.
spare his life. I'm going to bow before you.
As you're saying this, you can hear some footsteps up the gangplank. And you can see Eleander's face, which is the council from the loyalists, meaning the Lord's Council of the Sword Coast. Let me get his deal. Eleander. There he is, Eleander Fireborn. And he steps up in front of the others. Let's see. Size him down a little bit. And then there is Gellin Primewater. And there's Gellin. And then Manistrat is not in town, so Gellin says, well, now isn't this an interesting tale? He goes, well, unfortunately, Manistrat is at her mine and won't be back for another day or so, but I think she will be more than interested in this. And, he goes, Gregor, you are a fool. He goes, to go against the council here is to seal your own fate, especially with a crime. He looks at Ada and goes, I agree with Yuki here that we should have the Lord's Council take him up into Icewind Dale to the prison and try him there with our recommendation of life imprisonment. Let him serve his time out in the Hells area of Earth. Well, he goes, from what I hear, you did spare the bar and any patrons inside, so you comported yourself very well and very wisely in the town's behalf. And Eleander looks for a minute and he goes, I would have to agree, Ada. Let the Lord's Council handle this. He goes, we can send him and any of his compatriots off. He goes, but I worry. And he looks back over and you can see coming up the dockway is Scarin, along with the 5 that disappeared earlier. He goes, if it's true, we'll have to take all of them. He goes, I do have the guard coming, and he says, I do have Captain Stoneheart coming as well. But he goes, this could turn into a very devolved situation very quickly. And it will ruin our negotiations with Baldur's Gate. But, he goes, this is a heinous crime. And he goes, I can have Craddock Stonehorn imprison all of them. He says, we have our full militia. And, he goes, Keladek will help us. I also have him coming as well. And you guys can see as it looks like Scarin is about to incite. You can see he has 4 well-armed guards with him, what are house guards. And he's about ready to, you can hear the march of the militia. And you can literally see the whole militia is coming out and marching with polearms to surround that group. And walking with them quietly in his turban is the guy that you guys have seen over at the snapping line, the gentleman who was going to hire you out along with Captain Zendros, Keladek the Unspoken. And Keladek looks at the lot of them and he goes, Be my guest, Scarin. Go for your weapons, and I will immolate every last one of you where you stand. Oh, Keladek looks up to you, and again, it shocks you because you've never heard this guy speak at all. And he speaks with a very slight accent, almost an African accent. He goes, "Oh, it won't go to that. Will it, Scarin? It would sit badly upon your group. Do you think I am unwise to who you belong to with the Scarlet Brotherhood?" He goes, "You are a fool if you think I don't know where your allegiances lie." And when he mentions the Scarlet Brotherhood, you can see Scarin's face drop into just absolute rage. And he looks at him and he goes, "You bastard, how dare you?" He goes, "Oh, I dare. I know about your little group of Omnish assassins. Oh, and you aren't really Scarin, are you?" And he just chuckles as he raises, and you see this book float up near him. It's a tome, and the pages flip open. And it's the coolest thing you've ever seen. It's like he's going to fry him. And for a minute, Scarin looks like he's going to do something. And then he tells everyone to lower their weapons. And they are taken into custody. Every last one of them. And chains are put upon them. And Keladek looks over to Ada and the council and he goes, "By your leave, I will make sure these trouble you no longer. They will make their way to the prison, and I will accompany them. So I will be gone for a short period of time. But they will not escape. Of this I can assure you. They will face punishment." He just nods. This behavior to all of you from Keladek just throws every single one of you. Especially you, T. Knowing what you know, this throws you totally into a spin. Because you already know where he aligns. But for him to do this gives you a little bit of hope that maybe it might be profitable to work with him and Captain Zendros at some point. And you too, Veritas. You've seen this kind of demeanor. Wait, you have this kind of demeanor. and yet he's a spellcaster. This is kind of interesting. And Ada says, "Thank you again." She goes, "You will be rewarded." She goes, "In fact, for uncovering this, we will return to you the additional fees, won't we, Scarin, on the repair to their mansion and their deed. In fact, I will return in full all of the money that you have paid. You have shown yourself more than capable in our town, and it is the least we can do to show you our gratitude back." Gellin says, "Well said." Like she says.
Well, we apologize for having to crudely enter Anders' resting place and speak to him the way we did, but we knew it was the only way we could bring him just.
And she goes, "And I will look into it and make sure with our fine priest of Valcour."
And we tried to be as respectful as possible. She gives Veritas like a little saliva.
Well, I will verify this with our high priest of Ishtitius and Valcour, and if he says that you were respectful and that everything is still within the tomb, then I will absolutely note this. She goes,
I can look at the shadow real quick.
and Eleander says, well, surprises, surprises. He goes, who would have thought? And he looks back to Lyric and to Balaam and to Nicodemus, and he goes, your trust is well founded in your new group. He goes, with this, we're going to have to do some regrouping, so it'll be some time before we can help the ambassadors to the lizard folk. Please understand. But that also will allow you time in case you want to pursue any other things in between. I know there are other things, especially from what Gellin has told me with the Abbey that you were going to look into. He goes, that Abbey is closer into Coromir. It would give you time to venture to Coromir and help, or you could do something else local. He goes, I am open either way. But you have my most gracious thanks that you were able to step in and do this, because otherwise we would have probably never have known. Omnish. It's like there's a region called AMN, and Omnish.
Omnish.
Yes, Omnish.
I think it's Omnish.
No, Omnish. Yes, for the realm of Omn, or where the famous fire knives are out of. But yes,
Rick,
yes.
can I ask Ada about Traverse Cove?
Oh, so you've looked into Crabber's Cove then? Well,
Rumors about it.
Gellin, she looks, and he shrugs, and she looks over at Eleander, and he shrugs. Well, let me see what I can tell you and answer questions with. What would you like to know about Crabber's Cove? I know we've lost 2 crabbers out there recently, and I know that you were looking into it.
Right. Some of the parties are different.
Well, Wilbridge has probably enlightened you a little bit if you've spoken with him. Back in my youth, when my parents ran the council, there was a ship that came in from Maztica, I think is the name of the area that you may know. It's where there have been some recent colonies of Helm set up. Maztica has an interesting culture, and this ship came in from there. It was by accident, really. She said the ship was damaged in a storm, and it came in for repairs, and one of the passengers, Zolek, came into our town. At that time, Crabber's Cove was a very, very bustling place. We had at least a few cottages there. He murdered and drank the blood of at least 5 before a traveling priest of Amontor, the god of the dawn and the sun, chased him into one of the root cellars there where he had stored his casket. Zolek was trapped by the symbol that is on the thing itself, and you must be very careful because, yes, you could, she says, but he is quite powerful, hence why he was trapped down there, and ever so often he promises someone to tell secrets. And maybe he knew this secret, I don't know, about the Scarlet Brotherhood, because they have to meet somewhere. And they weren't meeting in the normal places in town. So he is a danger, and most likely both of the fisher folk that you have mentioned who had met their demise were either killed by him or lured to their death. She goes, we appreciate all that you have done, and if you do open that area, you must ensure that he does not walk away. We do not need him to terrorize our town any more than our city any more than he has. My parents were adamant that, as were Gellen's, that he would stay there until all time ends, and that no one would let him out. He cannot cross the threshold with that seal on it. It will kill him outright. Hence why he needs somebody to let him out.
There were some undead wandering around there.
She goes, can you describe any of them for me?
Shadow
Mm-hmm. And Balam went, well, it looked like our missing male crabber. And she goes, huh. Was he a vampire? And he goes, no, he was a zombie or something like it, a ghoul maybe, but not. He was missing his hand. We found it. The other voice, he goes, was disturbing. It was as dry as papyrus in its sound, like someone who has not drank water for quite a time. She just nods. She goes, is this true, Shadow? Is this what you heard there?
I missed it. What did you ask?
Well, she says, is Balam correct in his assessment of what you found at Crabber's Cove? Do you think that... She goes, that is disturbing. She goes, I would like to put the bodies to rest so that their families can find some relief, but you must be very careful in this. She goes, I will issue a higher reward than just finding them. She goes, Gellen, each of them will get 600 gold pieces if they can put Zolek to rest and bring back the 2 missing crabbers. He nods. And she goes, hopefully...
Wait a minute. You want us to open that seal?
Only if you know for sure that you can put him down and destroy him. His coffin is down there. So that would be where he would go back, were you not to kill him. She goes, but I don't want any of our townspeople put in danger from it. Otherwise, leave the seal as it is, and we will just continue to warn people away, and hopefully they will be wiser.
You say 600 gold pieces for the whole job? Or...
No, for each person in the party. So that's a much higher. That would be, let's see, that'd be 2, 4, 6, 9, be 5,400 gold. She goes, and basically she goes, your money will be returned to you for, that we have taken in for, that you have found for your home here. She goes, that would be a lot of money coming back to you that you've already paid in. It's the least we can do, because again, you continue to do things. Go ahead, Freya. You were going to bring this up, so this will be a good time before we round out the night.
Yeah, if I know the job, I can
Well, I didn't suggest that we had to do this job. I just wanted more information.
Well, sure. You guys have got a lot of freedom. They're not pushing you one direction or another more urgently than another.
I was just more flexible in the group, but I wasn't necessarily saying we're ready or
Sure. All right, let's see. How about we visit the island at the harbor bay, specifically the Circle of Stones? Ah, Ada says. The stones. Interesting. She goes, there is a job for that, where an out-of-towner has asked about that.
What are these circle stones?
They were a standing set of ruin stones that were on the island itself. They act like a old druid circle, possibly. We don't go out there much. There's been a lot of rumors and concerns as a whole for them. Some people have said that there's a bad spirit out there. Some people say that there's the Fae that is out there controlling things. She goes, I don't know for sure myself as to what is true and what is not. We don't go out there very often. Most times you hear about kids wanting to go out there, and we have to prevent that because we don't want anything to come harm-wise to the children. You know how children are. They can be quite... The island has gone by many names, but it is the Island of the Standing Stones was the oldest name for it. The island is right out there. She points down towards the bay. As you leave the bay, you've passed it quite a few times. Yes. Well, we kind of do. But she goes, really, no one does. But she goes, the Standing Stones Island, there are two that are interested in it. She goes, I know Captain Zendros has asked about it herself. But there is also a interested party that is from Kalimshan, who is interested in it and is willing to pay quite well. Captain Zendros is willing to pay very handsomely for it. She is interested in what the Standing Stones may hold or stand for, and honestly, no one has had the desire to go out there much. No, she says, not the Moonshay Islands. It's right, and she goes, as she points, you guys get the idea here. Let me get the map up, and I will move it from here to...
To explore the Standing Stone?
Yes. Basically it is. She goes right out here on this island here. At this point are the Standing Stones. You can see them right there where I'm pinging. She goes, the island itself is not hard to get to. You could take a longboat out there. There are just some wild creatures out there that are a little bit dangerous. Fae-like creatures. Ones that have gone out to the island, we've had quite a few not return. Whether they were taken by the Fae, whether they disappeared, whether they just left the area, we don't know.
How much for that?
Well, she says Captain Zendros has offered... Hang on here, let me go to my little book on the offerings. Captain Zendros has offered at least a magic item out of her store, each of rare or less quality, to each who goes out there and tries to find out for her and brings back information on the stone circle itself and what it really is. So it's a quite handsome reward. It could be very profitable for you and very helpful to you. Kalimshan has offered a total reward of about 16,000 gold. But then I would have to get a hold of the Calamshannies. There is a wizard in Calamshan who is interested in it. So I can find out if he's still interested. I would have to send a courier, but we could find out. I just find it odd that a Calamshanni wizard wants to know about it. Probably, she says to Shadow. I mean, he seems to have researched it, at least from in the letters and the missives that he's sent me. But it is up to you. I put it up on the board. Most the townsfolk haven't taken it up just because of the danger to them. They feel like the danger is real. But for all of you who are seasoned, there may not be as much danger. There's something odd to it, definitely. People talk of voices and wings and many other things that they hear down on our shores when they walk. Not that any of you have experienced that or that anything, but she goes, you could go and see.
I will for this mission.
All right. Any other votes on it?
I'll take the mission too.
All right. Should I tell Captain Zendros, or should I send the missive off to the Calamshannies? One is a little bit closer to home and part of our city, and will pay well with the items. So. You have, she says, looking at Freya. Interesting. It's been a while since we have heard anything, but if you have, then that would be worth maybe then pursuing. We have thought so. It like our grove up there, there are some places that are a little more wilder and primal, she says. Hence why we give them wide berth to not go stir up anything we shouldn't.
I vote for Captain Zendros.
Okay. She goes the rest. She goes,
What, the one you're talking about just now has a fake present?
right over here, Miss EVB. It's the one that Akeisha has been telling you should come walk on the beach with her with.
Oh, yeah. I just wondered if you could tell me a bit more about the Abbey quest.
Now what we have heard from that comes through the Mariners Guild. That is the Fire Island Abbey. It used to be, from what he has told me, a very bad place. It was an evil abbey. But it wasn't before that. It was, well, the original was an abbess that worshipped a Montor, the sun god. And they had left the island at some point during the wars, and it had fell into disrepair. The Church of Cyric had moved into there and taken the abbey as their own abbey, and removed, of course, all of Amontor's presence there. And the Church of Cyric quietly used it as an abbey. But there has been trouble. There has been no word either way from the Cyric's worshippers or from the island itself. And they're looking for a stalwart group to go and find out. So
what did the guildmaster want us to do there?
well, they want you to come meet with them in the Dale lands themselves. in near Cormyr, and then from there you can get the idea of what's going on, and they would have you go out to the island. It's a travel, she says, probably several days from here into Cormyr. So that's one place. And it would give us time, she said, to work out our things internally here, and to hear the Lord's Council's rulings on Scarin and his bunch. And we would be able to return your money at that time as well. I mean, it'll take Gellin a little while to scrape up the money, but he's kept most of what you paid him in our council funds. But we would need a little time to get the rest.
I'm quite interested in doing the Abbey quest.
All right.
If everybody else wants to go to the island first, we could do that first.
She goes, you could do both. I mean, one is closer, and then from there head to the other.
That sounds like a good plan, and we can do two things at once.
That would be good. And with that, I will drive a stake down in it for this year. Good job, everybody. And way to do that with a bloodless little takedown of, well, not totally bloodless, but it went better than I thought it was going to go. I had wondered if there'd be lots of bloodshed trying to get this guy in there as well as Scarin. So
I'm quite pleased with the outcome.
I am too. And so the whole party, and I'll put this up into, of course, Discord, 750 XP apiece. 1750. Some great role play. You did it bloodlessly. You brought things back to some semblance of sanity without seeing anybody die. That's a good thing. And Dustu was able to keep things in there, so he's able to keep his orders things along with Yuki. They did a great job. So yeah, everybody really handled this well.
You all get 5 HP back when you actually use that.
Yeah, exactly. You get your 5 hit points back too.
And how much this is? 1700.
1750. I'll put it up there in Discord on the XP portion. And you found out something interesting to confirm. Is Nicodemus really a harper? That was an interesting little tell, wasn't it?
Oh, it's a harper?
That's what your boy Gregor said.
Oh, okay. I thought it said harper.
Yeah, no, it's HARPER. You can look that up under the thing with Faerun and everything else, who they are. If that's true, that would be an interesting little tie. So, and during the downtime between the sessions, that's something that you guys could explore. As well as many other things. This will give everybody pretty much open things for side adventure things, little side adventure outings. And the good news is, and you're going to have to figure out how much is coming back to you, but all your money you paid into your mansion is coming back. Basically, the council is going to cover that. Yeah, well, I mean, think about it. A council member was murdered. You helped them solve and find out that he was murdered. That's a big deal. It's no small thing, and it benefited all 4 of them, because really Anders wasn't an opponent to any of them. He actually was more fair, and how would Scarin have been? That's a big question, right? You just never know all these things. So wonderful job, everybody. Now, I was going to send out some little gifts. I'll probably contact you folks over the next few weeks, because unfortunately I didn't get them out before the holiday with all the craziness. But we'll do it as a first of the year thing. I can do some little things as we go forward. So I will get in touch with each of you, get some information on how to do it, and
kind. You're such a sweet person.
I have a great group here and a great group of friends. Why wouldn't I want to do that if we can? So that's something that I really appreciate and I like doing as a DM that I don't always get to do.
That's very, very nice. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. And if I don't get to tell everybody, have a wonderful Christmas and holidays, or whatever holiday you do, whether it's Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, something different that I'm not naming here, then enjoy it. A Yule thing if you're more into the Wiccan worship. I want everybody to enjoy their holidays and be safe and have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful celebration.
You too. I hope you have a really great time.
Thank you. And it's been great, guys. And I'm looking forward to it. Like you said, first of the year we will probably be... I know I'm not doing one next week or the week after, so it'd be like the first or the second weekend of January. So it'd be the weekend of the... Is it the 8th? 7th or 8th? I'll have to check and see. Isn't that exciting? You can get some things. I love it when it allows for it. So.
That would be the 9th.
Okay, so then the 9th we'll get together, and I'll make sure I update all the things if I already don't have it up in there for the next date. Yeah, I'm grateful because you have to pay for the furniture in the bar. No doubt, T. That's always a good thing. So.
Then from then on, we're skipping every other week from the 9th.
Yep. That's what we'll continue to do. So, Kim, do you want to wish everybody wonderful holidays?
I died.
You died?
Because a bitch decided to kill me before I had a damn gun.
She's playing
On a
Fortnite.
rooftop.
She's playing Fortnite, so Kim has gotten into Fortnite. Heaven help her.
Everybody, shalom. I gotta go home.
All right. You too, everybody. Thanks. Appreciate everyone.
Dad? Yeah.
Bye.
Get out of here, get out of here.
Go. You've only got...
All right, everybody. Have a great
10
one.
minutes.